All right, it's all you, Jeff.
All right. Yeah, welcome back to our live podcast series. I think this makes number 10, right, Gary? 10?
I believe so.
Yeah, 10 deep. So decided to do something a little different tonight. There's a lot of going on with some of our instructors all over the place with, unfortunately, these riots and civil disobedience. So, we didn't pick a subject. We didn't pick anything. We wanted to kind of do a live roundtable with whoever shows up. Some of our regulars are at work, so they'll be logging in and out. But, we got Josh Webb back. It's good to see him. We got Big Juicy from down south as well. Konez, and a lot of the people, Jared, Ty from Milwaukee. So we're pretty well represented. Hoping to get some more people in here, and we'll answer your questions if anyone's got any. If not, I'm sure with this cast of characters, we'll find something to have a good time with tonight. So, how's everyone doing tonight? You guys all doing good?
Fantastical.
What's been going on down there, Jared? Has Springfield been kicking off yet?
No, we haven't had much. Sleepy little mixed. We had some buildings tagged with spray paint, some cop cars hit, had some people jump out in front of some responding apparatus, but that's it. We've been kind of slow and quiet.
Awesome. Webb, I see you're on here. Is things been going crazy down there in Louisville? Did I say that right? Lose him? Oh, apparently you can't hear. Can you not hear, Josh?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now.
Okay, it must be these fucking ear things. I don't know. Yeah, man, it's not been too bad. We haven't had like the fires that all the other cities have had, but of course we've had the police shootings, and I think they had Adam, you're on here. You may know they had another one I think last night, and had some cops ran over by cars like you guys have. Yeah, a lot of tagging, a lot of people out in the streets, but the fires, we've had them, but not near as many. We had 140 in 24 hours, like some of these other cities have.
Yeah, I think he's getting on, but Mike said they've been super busy. So
who has?
Torres from Chicago.
Oh yeah, they've been getting slammed, man. It's crazy. More than what I read, more than the riots back in '60.
So remember we were talking about Crystal keeping track of her visits in a notebook or her phone calls in a notebook?
So we gotta mute somebody. There we go. Yeah, good. Who else we got in here? Juicy, Memphis. You said Memphis going pretty normal.
Yeah, man, it's crazy down here. Only one Walmart was looted, and no fires, nothing crazy going on. So it's a pretty peaceful protest for a violent city. So surprisingly shocked in a good way.
So you guys slowed down, huh? When protest happens, you guys get slower. Good.
Yeah, I'm downtown on a busy engine, and we've been slow as shit lately, which is a nice little break actually with the heat coming in. So can't complain. It's a good thing for our city right now. I'm happy to see it.
Hi, what's going on in Milwaukee? Anything?
Well, I'm sure as you see the news, it's kind of crazy there. In my department in Greenfield, the day that things started happening, I was working that day, and then we end up backstaffing a lot of the rigs. Everything was, the heavy pieces. I'm one of our SWAT team medics. So, stand by.
Torres is in with his.
The Walmart and maybe raid it. I don't know. Nothing ever happened though. We slept like babies. People got paid overtime to sleep. So that's it. But it's nonstop. There's actually a lot of people now. They're finding they're going like Facebook Live as they're like protesting and looting. Like even today, I'm stuck in the rabbit hole just watching all of it. So the whole Milwaukee #1 on Facebook. If you're bored, you can watch the riots live.
Any of y'all have FBI guys in your quarters? They've been hanging out at all our firehouses, or some of them. that National Guard too. They've had armed guards on the apparatus until the governor, I think, felt like it was too much of a show of force, so he took them off. Anybody else got that going on?
I know they put the National Guard in some of the firehouses last night in the city, in St. Louis. We went on a floor right when, we heard a rumor that the out of town agitators were coming. They do that intelligence stuff, but nothing official or anything, just rumors. And then we went off, and then the day after is when it all kicked off in St. Louis. And then I guess yesterday they put the hotbed areas, they put National Guardsmen in there. But unfortunately for us, this is the third time we've gone through it. So we have a civil disobedience SOP and different stages and all that, because we went through it with Ferguson, and a year or two ago we went through it, I think, with another officer involved incident, and now it's kicking off here. But this seems a lot more widespread. So, and I see Mikey jumped on. You doing all right up there, Mikey?
We're doing okay, man. Doing okay. Long couple days. Tired, exhausted. I just woke up again. It's taking me longer to recoup from doing stuff. I guess it's getting old.
You've gone to a couple fires, brother.
What's that?
Have you guys gone to a couple fires up there in the windy?
Quite a few. We've been pretty busy. At least our company has. It's spotted throughout the city, but it's condensed in a few pockets, few areas. It's quite. I have to say, it's quite upsetting. We were just talking about it, just that they're doing it to the neighborhoods they live in, the businesses that are owned, small business. It's kind of just really discouraging. And you have to wonder what they're going to do when this is all over. They're not going to be able to recoup some places. So it's kind of, it's pretty upsetting. So we're just going to have to go with the flow. But we've been busy, and a lot of fires. Second shift got hit pretty hard, which will be red shift in certain places and B shift in other places. They got hit pretty hard the last couple of days. They're still working right now. We got hit pretty hard. It's slowed down. We saw from Walgreens, a lot of Family Dollars, I don't know if this is a trend, but Dollar General or Family Dollars, they must really hate them. Those are like easy targets. We just had a gigantic building go up. That was a 7-story building, sporting goods joint, right off of Halstead, like a couple hours ago. That was a long journey, they said. Other than that, we've had very few residential. We've had a lot of commercial, but we had a few residential. Or like taxpayers, business on the bottom, homes on top kind of deal. We had 1 or 2 of those. Other than that, and it's
sorry to get off, Mikey. Aaron Sparks, mute yourself. You're not talking or whatever. Try and limit the background noise so you don't cut off our what's going on. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah. Other than that, nothing special. Like I said, it's I don't want to see a roof for a couple more months. I'm kind of done with roofs. Josh, love the. I have much more respect for the chainsaw. Use the shit.
That's good news.
Oh man, we laughed. The first fire, we looked at. Me and Adam looked at each other. We're on the roof team, and I go, dude, I'm not cleaning this thing. And he goes, yeah, no, this isn't the last. And I'm like, and it's already like 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, yeah. And sure as shit, we actually had to tell the shift next day, hey man, we didn't clean it. We're 5 down. We don't know what to do with it. Sorry. But it was a good day. I was going to bring up the rotary saw for a couple flat roofs, but I didn't. I went with the chainsaw. I went past my better judgment, and it actually worked out way better, to be honest with you. I didn't have to do any crazy step cuts. That thing went nice, deep, went well. We lost a few. We didn't a lot of safe foundations yesterday, but I got some great pictures with my TIC camera can take pictures, and believe it or not, I used it on the roof actually, which is pretty fun. I got pictures of it we couldn't figure out why the last one or the second from last one, it was. We thought we had 3 big ass holes open, and we started to look at the one in the rear, and I go, Adam, why does that thing look like it's still chugging out like gray smoke? He's like, I don't know, it don't look good. I go, yeah, I don't look good either. So I'm trying to knock it down with the pike pole. I couldn't make any headway. I felt like I was hitting rocks. I'm like, oh shit. So I grabbed the stripping ladder. I used the stripping ladder. I tried slamming that down, and I was getting nothing but resistance. Me and another guy from Truck 30, OD, and we were meeting nothing but resistance. Later on, we found out that it was 2 roofs, 3 ceilings. So it was like a plywood rock, then another flat roof, and then tin, lath and plaster, drywall, or something like whatever order that was. So because when it was burning down, we kind of saw the whole siding come down. When the tower took it off, you can see like the layers of roofs. It's pretty messed up. So, but that one kind of sucked. The chainsaw was awesome, but I could see with the tick that the fire was just literally coming from underneath us. Adam's like, yep, time to go. I'm like, all right, time to go. You could tell, we were talking about sponginess yesterday. You can tell what real spongy felt like at the end of it. You can feel it getting real soft and the movement. It was nice. It was just a good day. A lot of stuff. It's been a while since I jumped building from building. That was pretty interesting. Like, oh, this was going to be bad. So we had to jump to the house next door. So it was Spider-Man for a few minutes. That was interesting. And this guy don't do Spider-Man so well. Gravity is not my friend. So other than that, man, it was a good day. It was shitty in the bigger picture of what I'm saying. I don't mean it like, oh, this is great, but let's be honest, it's shitty all around. But the fires are going to keep on coming. We're hoping this kind of subsides and just levels out a little bit, because eventually there's not going to be anything else to burn. It's just going to be a wasteland. Seriously, all the businesses, everything's going to be gone.
It's only a matter of time before something happens other places, like what happened in Richmond, where a house gets going, or apartment, a taxpayer you talked about, where, some kids were trapped and they blocked the fire trucks from getting to the scene,
I have to admit, we haven't had that issue. I've seen a lot of stuff on social media where departments are having that issue, making way. I can't speak for the guys downtown the very first night it was happening, but I did talk to a few of them that were down there on the quote-unquote task force teams that we set up when stuff like this happens. They said they didn't have that issue. There was nobody that was, stopping us from doing our thing. They were very inviting to us. So we didn't have any issues. So that's a plus. I'm glad nothing like that happened. And I that is my fear. My fear is that you hold us up and God forbid something happens, like loss of life that had nothing to do with what's going on. That would make me sick to my stomach.
Well, it sounds like they had some of that the other night. Some of our apparatus got tagged and hit with stuff and blocked from getting to the scene. But that's just talking to people that were there that night. We were off. So, all right. Listen, so the show's, about all the people that tune in every week and listen. And Tim, did you have any questions come across that people wanted answered on Instagram?
No, I was slacking, actually. I didn't even post the link on Instagram, so I got nothing for you on that front.
That's why our numbers are low tonight. Good job.
I don't think that's it. I just got a suspicion.
All right. Hey, so we got some people on here. Let's get some questions going. We'll get them answered the best we can. I know some people are coming on from they're on duty, and Chad and them may or may not be able to join us depending on how things going in Kansas City tonight. What's up, Timmy Bullard? How things down in Jeff City, buddy? Just kind of scrolling through. Anybody got anything?
Yeah, there was nothing going on in Jeff. We had a planned protest. It was all very peaceful. They staged to the nth degree, brought in a bunch of guys, almost a whole nother shift, call back, and staffed a bunch of reserves, and we were scattered all over and talking about armed convoys and this, that, and the other. none of it needed. None of it turned out to be needed. A little bit of property damage at the end of one of the March protests, but then the cops were like, "Yeah, we know those guys. That just could be Tuesday."
We did?
Yeah.
In 98% of all the protests have been peaceful everywhere, I think. I mean,
Oh yeah, the
Tennessee
rumors
is-
running wild, people going crazy, saying like they're gonna close the bridge and they're stacking pallets of bricks. And well, if we know where the pallets of bricks are, let's go pick those up. And so there weren't, but it was the cops and public works and business owners got out and they like cleared their own streets. Like, hey, let's get all of this stuff out of the way. Anything like a flower pots could be thrown, anything could be picked up. They just picked it up and moved it indoors or moved it somewhere else. And just that opportunity, that weapon of opportunity, they just took it away. And so even if there was somebody feeling froggy, there was nothing there to screw with. So it just turned out to be real calm.
Awesome.
Hey, Captain Seidel, how about you guys up in KC? Sean Seidel's on.
Oh, I didn't see him jump in.
Yeah, he's been on.
Awesome.
I don't know if he heard us.
Oh, there he is.
Captain Seidel, how's KC?
He's probably got to unmute himself.
You're
Somebody-
muted, bro.
Technology,
It's a
technology for the old timers, you know.
He's got a nice smile, though.
He's out walking. All right, we'll see if he can figure that out. Let's see.
Hey, Jeff, I've got a question.
Perfect. I knew you'd chime in at some point.
Of course. Torres, do you think you can talk about roof pitches and, numerically what's walkable, what's not, and how do you measure them?
Was that a question for me? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she wants to know about roof pitches, how you measure them, and what you will walk, and when you need a roof ladder. Webb would also be awesome at this question as well. So.
Yeah, Webb, you take this one. You take this one.
Yeah, I mean, like walkable, I think like a 612, as far as it, isn't that just the drop of inches over a foot or something off the ridge? Somebody else can probably tell me that, but yeah, I mean, you can probably get pretty good footing on a 712 too, if you know what you're doing. But I mean, most times we just try to shoot for, a valley or a peak somewhere to try to get better footing to get to the, peak of the roof or get down. And then of course, roof ladders, if we got one coming, somebody's bringing it. But yeah, I'd say as far as like walking a roof, 612, 712, anybody else?
Yeah, I can
Anything on that?
nerd out on that for a minute from my carpentry background. So a 612 roof is a 45-degree angle, if that makes it easy for reference, Hannah. Roofs are measured in rise and run. So 1212 is 12 inches up and 12 inches out. 612 is 6 inches up, 12 inches of run. So as far as walkable, that's literally different for every single person. Some people are comfortable, on a steep roof where other people won't even attempt it. So it's kind of one of those experience things that, you got to get on one to see what you're comfortable with. The more time you spend on one, the more comfortable you're going to be.
Of course, wearing fire gear and a pack if you wear one and carrying equipment, it's not going to be the same as going up there with your tennis shoes.
Yeah, absolutely. And what Josh,
What about the trades? Oh, go ahead.
Walking valleys and hips are going to be your best bet on a steep roof. Normal roofs, the regular rafters, are figured on a 12-12, whereas your hips and valleys are figured on a 17-12. So they're always going to be less steep, I guess you could say.
Makes
Yeah, I
sense.
will. Yeah, and then you get these crazy dudes. Tim always tells story. You get those special tradesman roof shoes, boots. And the dudes put up Christmas lights, running up shit that I would never dream about. It's also sometimes it's deceiving on the ground. You think you can walk it, and then you get up there on the ladder, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, I misjudged it. So I'm not a tradesman. I haven't built a ton of roofs, but you know, the more roofs you look at and go up on, you kind of get a feel on if you can walk it in or not. Also, I mean, there's some roofs that I would walk right now during the summertime that if it was cold, had some ice or some rain or a little snow on it, you know, that might change. Weather plays a huge part in it as well when we're taking that into consideration.
Yeah, and even the weathered side of the roof too. I mean, you know, it gets beat up by the sun and the weather. That one's going to be harder to walk beside.
Yeah, the older the roof, the easier the shingle gets go of the little sand, the gritty portion of the shingle. The asphalt starts to let go of it. Think about too, you're creating sawdust. So, you know, a 12-12 being a 45-degree angle, it gets steeper when you get sawdust on it, or a 6-12 gets steeper because that sawdust adds takes away traction as well. So keep that in mind.
You'll see that a lot in training classes, Hannah, with the sawdust. That's a huge thing. You know, the props are pretty easy to walk on, but then you'll have people start sliding because there's no friction there. Generally, we're not throwing up shingles on our OSB or plywood in training. So you really get a good feel on how slick that sawdust really can be. I know that's been mentioned by several other people before, but it's all things like most things in this job. It's kind of, and it's hard if you're at a place that doesn't go to a ton of roofs. It's hard to give you a straight answer, but you know, the more roofs you get up on, the more comfortable you get, and you know, the better idea you get of doing that quick size up. Like, hey, do I need roof ladders or can I walk it?
One other thing with it, Jeff, too, don't forget more and more of them are doing metal roofs, more newer construction, and even on a re-roof, instead of going with the asphalt, they're going metal.
Yeah, we actually have several of those going in St. Louis. We were just talking about them the other day.
Yeah, we've got a new subdivision going in, all new construction, and every one of them are metal roofs, and they're big houses.
I bet you they're loud as shit during a rainstorm, though.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
They're awesome.
One
thing that
awesome there.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ty.
I was hoping to get Ty's opinion here. You're pretty much roof ladders all the time up there, aren't you?
Yeah, 100% by my department, and this is what we've adopted because again, that's that Milwaukee cut. But the one thing I wanted to throw out there to Hannah, if you know you and your crew go out and start walking roofs, something I learned from Josh and a bunch of other guys is chimneys. Don't rely on the chimneys and lean on them or trust them, you know. And then again, Josh can go in depth on this stuff. He's got good stuff there, but yeah, don't rely on the chimney. So if you go out, don't hug.
Yeah, I had. Go ahead, Ty. My bad.
Oh, I'm done.
Yeah, when I was new, I had a guy. He probably had 15, 20 years on a truck company. You know, one of our real busy trucks. Just quick story. And we were going across the peak to go cut a hole, and there happened to be a chimney, you know, right in the way. And of course, he, you know, jetted around that chimney like it wasn't anything, and I came to it, and it was like the biggest obstacle I ever came across. And I started moving across, and I bumped it, and I mean, I knocked, I don't know, probably above roof level off, and I mean, my stomach just dropped. You know, it fell and hit. You know, you can imagine the sound, and just rolled right off the eave. I thought, man, I done killed people. And of course, he's looking at me like, dumbass, you know. And, you know, lucky it didn't kill anybody, it didn't hurt anybody, but I learned that lesson pretty hard, you know, the hard way. Yeah, avoid them if you can. Chimneys, man, they're dangerous.
Juicy, you got anything to add from down there, Memphis? I'm not too sure of your guy. I've been there before, but I was probably too drunk to pay attention to any of the construction.
Yeah, we got a lot of 612 roofs, 712 roofs, so we walk a lot of our roofs. The big problem we have down here with the humidity and moisture is we got a lot of moss and people not taking leaves off their roofs. So a lot of natural causes keeping that roof real slick down here. We made a fire yesterday. I was lucky enough to go to the roof, and it very walkable roof, but we threw a ladder just because it was so slick up there from moss and all the rains we've been having. Unkept house, hoarder house. So It's just dependent on the neighborhood. Some neighborhoods are a lot nicer than the others. But we're just kind of dependent on where we're working, what we're doing. Roof ladder's not a huge thing here because most of our roofs are walkable. We don't get snow, so we don't have a lot of steep pitches on our roofs, and we have a lot of one-story houses. So that's kind of our bread and butter for roof pitch here.
Sean, Gary, unmute Sean. I don't know if he can figure it out. I'd like to hear what's going on in Kansas City and then see if he's got anything to add. He's a truck captain.
I think I figured it out.
Oh, I think you got it. We're hearing you.
A lot of it has been said already. I think that it comes with experience and getting time to get on roofs. Like a lot of us have said before, we learn by making mistakes. I know that it's easier going up than coming down. Sometimes you'll see in the adrenaline of a fire, you'll throw a ladder, get up on the roof and start cutting a hole. And once that fire's out and it's time to come down, you realize you're kind of maybe bit off more than you can chew. Everything else I think has kind of been said. I think it's, a good practice, something that may be worthwhile is when you get to the scene, grab 2 ladders. If you're on a 1-story house and you can grab the 2 16s, carry them both up to the house, throw one up to get to the roof. And then once you get to the edge of the roof, grab that other one and bring it with you if you need it. If you're not sure from the ground, because sometimes on the ground it doesn't look like you need it. And then once you get up there, you're thinking, oh, shit, I wish I had a ladder. And nobody wants to go back to get that second ladder. I think everything else has been covered.
Agreed. Yeah, it's like most things, Hannah. You kind of get up on all the roofs you can. Go out, make a raise, see if they'll let you walk around when they're building some of these things, and just get a feel for it. Unfortunately, unfortunately, we all don't get to go to a ton of roofs, fires all the time. So you kind of got to get it any way you can.
And I would be surprised if you went to a new construction area and you threw a ladder and just went up there and walked around. If you don't have an area where you get a lot of fires, I would be surprised if anybody would have a problem, as long as you're not tearing nothing up. And if someone came up to you and you said, hey, we just wanted to get a feel for being on a roof and getting some roof work, we're not tearing nothing up, I think most people would be okay with that.
Yeah, all these builders and building managers, I mean, if you go talk to them and develop a relationship, we've had pretty good luck. I mean, even one of the captains on our other shifts, I mean, he made the standpipe system and was flowing water on the roof of a high rise, just by developing relationships with building managers. And, that's kind of, what we need to do. And, to kind of get the training we need. So get out and know your area. I know it's been difficult with COVID, but, as things kind of return to normal gradually, hopefully some of that stuff comes back. Does that answer your question, Hannah?
Yeah, I think it does. Thank you. And on your point about getting to know businesses and stuff, I've had several opportunities the last couple of weeks of doing just that, getting to know business owners and asking them questions about the construction of their place, and it's really interesting because they know a lot more than you think that maybe you might give them credit for, and that's something you can learn from.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. I saw Kelly Foster's on here. He's one of our main men here at Engine House. You've been on most of these podcasts, Kelly. You got any questions or anything?
More to carry in?
Hey, Sean, can you
so far, no, I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, good deal. Well, conversation's flowing well tonight. Glad to see a lot of the regulars back on. Now I'm just taking in a lot of this information. Thanks.
All right. It's gonna be Dave Kona. Same deal, man. You've tuned into most of these. You got to have something that your boys out there in Sullivan been dying to ask, or no?
Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of getting into apartment complexes, garden-style apartments, and doing hose pulls, estimating stretches, and talking about it before we actually do it to see where we are and what we could change and what we do a lot of practice. And since we can't do We do inspections and pre-plans, but all that's kind of been on hold. So we'll sneak out of the firehouse whenever we can, and we do a lot of estimating of stretches right now and getting hose on the ground, checking roofs, throwing ladders. Even if we get a chance to go grocery shopping, we even try to do something like that as well. There's just something, we kind of got caught with our pants down one time we made up the mistake, but we shortchanged ourselves. We estimated short, and we had an extension bundle to make the turn on the Charlie side. But ever since then, I think we're really on top of our game, and I think the guys realize that too. That we do a lot of stretches, a lot of estimating the stretches. Everything we have is 200-foot pre-connect, but we have extension bundles. We really hit hard on who takes the extension bundle, how fast we can lay it out, how fast we get water to the nozzle. We do quite a bit of that here lately.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. We talked a little bit about it when we did engine stuff with Hybreeder, and we'll do another one soon, I'm sure. But 99% of the fire service is 200-foot, 1 3/4, attack line, and you really get doing that all the time, pulling that all the time. So you got to have a plan when it comes into place, and it's good to hear that you guys are working that. I mean, I was off, maybe Tim could talk to it, but they had a garden style apartment, which is pretty rare for the city, to where they had to add line, and the guys came up short, because like I said, for us, 90% of the time, probably 200 feet's more than enough. We'll have extra hose in the front yard, but when you run into it, you got to have a plan, or it doesn't go very smooth. Tim, you want to speak on that at all? Or I know you were on the roof, so you that garden style apartment, you guys, that multiple you guys had, estimating stretches and all that stuff.
I mean, yeah, man, they misshot it. I don't really know what else to say about it. I was on the roof, and I know they came up, devastatingly short. And I think that just goes back to what you were talking about a little bit of just, once you run into it, just having a little bit of a game plan, and again, I wasn't on the seat, I wasn't on the truck, I don't know what transpired, so I don't want to second guess anybody's decisions, but I mean they came up way short, and hopefully next time it doesn't happen that way. But just something that comes with practice, and something that you got to have in mind when you're leading off. Most people are pulling 200 feet. You got to know about where 200 feet is going to get you. So that's all.
The big thing I like to point out whenever this subject comes up is, in our SOGs are set up, you guys obviously don't know this, to where, there's an engine company, the truck company, and then a second in engine does backup water supply for the first, and they pull the backup line, and usually it works for us on most of our fires. But on these off the wall ones, where the longer stretches and commercials, high rises as well, your SOGs and your game plan really should be getting that first line in place and operating before you worry about a second line. And that doesn't always happen, because people get caught up on the SOGs and following the SOGs, which is a good thing. I'm not saying they're bad. But the best thing we can do in the fire service, I think, is get that first line operating at all costs, and then come back and back them up. So I don't know if anyone's got anything to add on that, or if you guys do anything different. Torres, I know you're a truck guy, but you've done plenty of time on an engine. If you want to add to it.
Oh, nothing to add. I think it depends what engine you're on and what area you're in. We're definitely off the rear. We call it off the rear. A lot of guys love coming off the rear. They're never short. I mean, you have so much hose, it's ridiculous. I think we put too much hose on the ground, but it is what it is. I'm not, like I said, this is a building, so I'm cool with that. When I came to this new house, I wasn't accustomed. I was always accustomed to bleeding out the line when I get out, but I was starting to get used to what they did. If it was on the 3rd floor or 4th floor or whatever the case may be, they'll run up dry through the stairwell. And at first I'm like, oh, that's weird. And I'm just not used to that. But they do that, and they find it easy, and it works out. It's fine. It's not a big deal. I mean, water gets on the fire real quick. I'm cool with it. We have some extremely good engine guys by us. I'm sure we could say that it's like saying your kid is the most beautiful kid in the world. It is what it is. But our engine guys are really good by us, and they're fast. They get line on the ground. The officer is phenomenal. She kills it every day. She's awesome. So I do think by us we can do more cross lays. We have 200-foot cross lays. I think most of the houses, that's all you really need. Instead of coming off the rear, I mean, 200 feet, 90% of the time is half that shit's on the ground. City lots aren't that big by us. I'm sure they're all the same size by you guys. And I'm not talking rural shit like Jared and shit. That's real fireman shit. I can't relate to that. Offset over bridges and through a fucking forest. Yeah, I can't do that. But
having to draft.
Yeah, draft. I drafted. Take it easy. I drafted. I came some way that shit. I drafted off a tanker. I ain't too crazy. I got that shit. But
hey,
yeah.
Mikey, I'm gonna kick this question to a couple of these other guys.
Sure, I'm right.
But if you could pull up pictures, I'm gonna ask you a question in a minute on your guys' stripping ladder because it came up. But if you got some pictures or something to talk on that in a minute,
sure.
I'll bring it back to you. But I just want to give you a heads up.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Let's hear from you, Jared, or Dave, or there's several more rural guys on here. So let's hear from how you guys are dealing with some of these longer stretches and your guys' game plan in a more rural environment.
Yeah, just for us and Sullivan for a pretty rural environment. I mean, we're a one staff truck. That's all we get. So we'll go through 2 or 3 bottles. We're on our own. So there's times where, we're pulling the line. We're extending the line. My engineer, after he gets us water, he might be pulling the second line, waiting for a second truck to back us up. We do a lot of pre-planning. Like I said, 200 foot gets us pretty much anywhere we want. We don't have much offsets. Some of our apartment complexes are a little bit deep where we really pre-plan those. Usually try to get out there in the construction phases. A lot of our contractors, for some reason, don't want us to mess with any of that stuff. But we do a lot of it. We just show up in the middle of the day, and a lot of people come out and ask what we're doing. We're just pulling lines, stretching lines, estimating, and practicing because there's times where, when it comes 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't have to think about it. We all know our job and we have to do it. But we do a lot. We have a couple options. We have extension bundles of 1 3/4 that we can go off of, or we have a skid load that's pre-packed on the top hose bed of our truck. That's 200 feet, two 200 1 3/4 foot lines to 300 foot of 3-inch. But we also have 150 foot of 1 3/4 extension bundles that we could shoulder. That's on the side of our rigs if we know we got to extend off of that. Or we practice extending off the 2.5. I'll break apart nozzles where we can get, we got to pre-plan that stuff because we don't have manpower. It's just us. That's all we got. So we do a lot of hose pulls, a lot of hose on the ground. We don't do a whole lot of truck work, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it. We just we're 3 guys, and that's what we do. We biggest thing is getting water on the fire quick. We practice our engineer blitzing on fire before we get the line extended. We do a lot of that stuff just on a rural setting.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Hey, Dave, this is Timothy, can I break in about your break apart nozzle?
Yeah.
So you said you got your break apart nozzle. Is that, do you have a slug tip in there, or does that stay 1 3/8 and you just got a tip on the end?
1 3/8 with a tip on the end.
Okay. That's what we just moved into. We got some magic break apart, but it's got a 15/16 slug, which is fine. But the conversation came up, and I had to warn people away about extending off of that because the problem is now you don't have a full-sized orifice. You've got a 15/16, and that's not good to extend lines or to change tips or to do anything else with. It is what it is. So I wanted to check and see what you were flowing with that.
Yeah, we tried a bunch of different stuff. We ran into that problem once before and learned our lesson. So this is why we kind of switched over and we got our new truck and really pushed hard with this, and it made a world of difference. Really did.
Outstanding. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And stuff like Timmy's talking about, we run the 15, 16 slugs on ours, but that's mainly for if our fog tips, if we have water issues or our fog tips clog up or whatever, you could spin them off and ditch them, and then you got a smooth bore. We're not going to extend off that. But what he's talking about is the reason why a lot of places have gone away from using gated Ys as well. They'll stretch that skid load, but they won't have a gated Y. They'll have a bell reducer in there. And, basically, if you need a second line, you got to stretch a whole nother thing because you can lose water. And there's been a lot of issues with gated Ys that, I'm sure we'll get into at some point in the future at another engine company podcast. So,
hey, Jeff, just to touch on that gated Y, that's how we run it. Just so you know, we have 700 feet of 777, 700 feet of 2.5 on the engineer side, and it goes to a 1.25 inch shutoff pipe, which is spun down, and it goes into a to a gated Y, and then it branches off into 1.75 inches. Depends who it is, but it's about 200 feet. So the history of the Chicago Fire Department, that is what we have. Every engine has that setup. We tend to switch down to get rid of the Y, and we just go to the shutoff pipe. So in case we lose it or it's big, like the last couple fires the other day, we just spin that off, and now we have a 2.5 inch shutoff pipe, and we just lay in the street, tie it up, back on itself, and we're in the street, hitting it as far as we can. It is what it is. But we can even break it down. I've seen it broken down, and they use it in a house. They're like, I'm losing, I'm going to a 2.5. So it's not uncommon, but that is our setup. It's extremely long. Like I can dig up pictures in a little bit, but it's long. But historically, that's what we have. One of the gated Ys is cut off, meaning it has a cut off. It has the valve is cut, so nobody can kick it off. Usually bungee cord open on both valves on the 1.25 inch shutoff pipe and the gated Y. We have them so where nobody can kick them off. Majority of the companies do. Good ones definitely do. I was not a component to it, and I was always I was taught like, oh, you want another line, go get your own fucking line. That's it. Don't tap into mine. Get fucked. So that was the mentality. But this is a little different. Coming over where I'm at now, the first couple fires we were there, oh, just grab the trash line and hook on in. I'm like, what? It was bizarre to me because I was always taught, like, if you want another line, guess what? Go get your own fucking line. That's how we're gonna do this. But it works out. It's pretty nice. Don't get me wrong. I kind of like it. Guys that are second up or me being on the truck, if we need another line, I'm not shy to go grab the garbage line and drag it up. I'll do it. I've done it before. It's not a big deal. So it has its advantages. I can't recall, me personally, how many times the fog nozzle get clogged up or something like that happen, or the gated Y go to shit. I really haven't had those kind of mechanical issues. We've had issues of them getting kicked off, yes, or accidentally kicked off. So that's happened before. But other than that, we haven't had really serious issues with it. And historically, that's how we've been doing things, and that's how it's been. So, like I said, just food for thought. I mean,
no, and full
change their way.
Full disclosure, Mikey, like that sounds very similar to how we would operate as well. I mean, we still use gated Ys. I just like to point out that, particularly on us, because they used to be companies are taking them out now. We used to use them on high rise as well. But the ones that they get carried in, they get thrown on the ground, they get dropped, they get beat up, time and time again for all these automatic alarms and stuff. And then you'll have issues of the balls not lining up with the handles and not opening all the way. So if you're going to use them, fine. Just know what that's going to do when you add another line, as far as your pump discharge pressure and all that stuff. And make sure you're checking your gated Ys when you're checking your nozzles and stuff in the morning as far as checkout.
Hey, I've got another question.
Awesome. You want to do it now, or can we have Mikey talk about that stripping ladder first?
Nope, go for it. Stripping ladder.
Mikey, I've talked to you about this several times, and it's a bit foreign to most of the fire service. I think it's pretty awesome, but tell us about the old Chicago tradition of the stripping ladder.
Stripping ladder is unique. I actually, one in my garage. I have one. It's broken, but I have one. I got a picture. Let's see if I can screen share. So it's for flat roof operations, right? Mainly. It's a roof ladder. It's very, I've traveled and I've asked and I've decided to ask people, have they ever, does anybody have something similar? I've heard somewhere on the West Coast, somewhere over there, they might have something. I've seen a picture, but it's not quite it. So all it is a 10-foot ladder. It's about, I want to say it's about a foot apart, maybe a little bit longer. I may be off, but it has cast iron hooks and a flat cast iron end. It's a little better picture there, but that's what we use it for. Flat roofs, if they're 1-bys or even stripping material back and then flipping it over and slamming it down, it is a beast. I mean, it's not light by no means. It's extremely heavy, but boy, does it get the job done. It takes a lot of sealing. When I took that off yesterday, and me and the guy from Truck 30 tried to do this, it's, you know, we look like this. This is what we look like, us two doing this. But we also turned it around to knock it down. When I felt complete resistance doing this, I was like, oh, shit. There was something wrong. It just didn't add up. But there was so much smoke coming out. And then obviously turned the fire and it burned off the roof. But I'm trying to see if there's a better picture, but that's about it. But yeah, that's it. It is unique. I heard that the guy who makes them now is in Texas. I don't know how we get them, who makes them besides this gentleman, but it's all hickory. We paint our tips. I like to paint them a little different colors so I can see them, but to who's their own. But this is it. This is, like I said, I don't know. Shame on me. I should know a little bit more, but I don't know why it was invented, who invented it. It is a Chicago thing. Unless somebody else can tell me, I've asked a lot of large departments, a lot of guys that do a lot of roof work, and same response is like, I don't know, that's weird looking. So it is a unique tool. I'm telling you, if you've used it, it is awesome. It is a great tool to use. It's definitely a big difference, but we have it on our mains. It's heavy. Are you going to want to use it? You know, there's a lot of, pros and cons to this whole thing, but a great tool by no means. Definitely a great tool. So,
hey, Mikey, you probably said it's 10 foot long.
I have to measure mine again. I think it's 10 feet long. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me. I gotta,
Then, is it stored up on the aerials like a roof ladder?
Yeah, it's on the main. It's on the main, and it's literally the hooks are facing away from you going up the main, obviously. But yeah, it's attached to the main somehow. They got brackets, and if you got a reserve, like the tower for the longest time was just laying flat, and the hooks were down by the basket. It was a pain in the ass. It'd slide around. We'd have to put a bungee cord on it. It was just a pain in the dick. But majority of the trucks, the spares especially, they all have brackets. You can kind of hook it in, and it sits right there just fine. And then you have a pull up there. So everything's on the main if you need it.
It looks like it would be great for sounding the roof. I mean, that's why we carry I think it's the Colorado hook, where it's got the LA roof hook on one side and the New York on other. And
yeah, it would be fine to sound with. I would think it's heavy. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I can muscle it around. It's not an issue, but you're trying to find ways of not exhausting yourself. Cause I ain't gonna lie. I was tired. I was tired after a few of those. And, I was trying to find any which way to conserve energy as much as possible. And, doing that would suck. I'll try not to put a huge pun in this, but I'm going to. It is what it is. But the new tool that a gentleman, a friend of ours, John Lockwood, is making, it's out of Florida. It looks like a Boston rake and a New York hook had a love child. When that comes out, the mass surface area that it has, I'll get one out to you guys. Don't worry. The mass surface area has to sound the roof. It's nice. You're gonna like it. It's I could see the advantage. I haven't used it at a fire yet. I'm really excited. The next few days it'll come out. Hopefully, I get my hands on one soon. But that tool to me, that's gonna be the tool of choice. It was kind of surprisingly. I was talking to the guys when we're going up, started a shift the day before. He's like, "Hey man, let's bring a hook up there." And I go, "Like a New York hook?" He's like, "Yeah." I go, "That's strange. Why?" And it's like, "Dude, last couple of roasts we had, we couldn't punch it down with our wooden ones. We need something beefier, and that metal, it has some weight behind it." And so we have a leatherhead, the older ones, the heavy ones. Everyone's like, "Oh God, these things suck." The heavy ones are fine for that application. I want the weight to drop down on the roof. Sexy. But the other ones, we have a lighter one. The diameter we'll get into later, but the diameter of the tubing makes the tool so much lighter. It's 0.125. Fireworks Unlimited is 0.95. You can't tell the weight, distinguish the weight, but that's for pulling ceiling. You're not going to get exhausted by doing that. But you want some weight up there. You want something to push down. And that new hook, when it comes out, I'll let you guys all see it. You can try it on the roofs. I'll give it to Jeff. I'll get one out to you guys. I'm gonna try to get as many as I can get out to everybody, as much as I can, just to give them a good test.
Yeah, we'll take one for sure. We'll throw it
Cool.
with our roof tools and.
It definitely gives that sound, that roofing sound, more master. I mean, literally, if you think of a Boston rake, think of that. Just make it a New York head. That's pretty much it. And it's just that wide, and man, you can really put some ass into it, and you can really sound a good roof. I haven't got into the whole LA trash hook thing yet. A lot of guys love it. I am cool with that. That's fine. To who's their own. But it's almost the same width of it, so you're getting that same sounding effect out of it. So I mean, I think overall it's going to be
It sounds perfect for us, Mikey, because what we take up is that Colorado hook, the New York, and then it's got the LA and a Boston rake. That's what goes to the roof with us every time. So it sounds like what you're talking about would be right up our alley.
You're gonna love it. I can't wait. I'm excited to get one to you guys, and you can check that shit out yourself.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, Gary, jumping all over the place here. That's kind of the point of question and answers, but you have a couple things you wanted to add with setbacks, and you had some pictures you wanted to show. Let's throw them up there. See what everyone has to say.
Some of the problems we have with it's not as much within apartments and garden apartments and that, but we've got a lot of areas where residential subdivisions, they'll come in and they'll call them mini farms, and they'll be on like an 1.5 acre or a 2 acre lot within there. The problem that those create for us, let me see if we can get this.
I'm sure you can.
Yeah, you see that?
Yeah.
We end up with a lot of different things that look similar to this. This picture was taken from the street. So as you can see with this one, there's not enough width to get up the driveway. If you can get up the driveway, hill on either side. This particular one, we actually tried it. We pulled what would be the first due truck at that, which would be our quint that we run. And if you pull into the driveway, the officer can't get out because of the block wall. He can't open the door to be able to get out. The house going over towards the Bravo side, that's a walkout on that side. The front door right in here. So, just some unique things as far as knowing your stretch to get up there to the building. And then, what's your plan for that? And like I said, this has become more and more of a problem. I got a couple other ones here within these, and I'm sure some other ones have the same thing, but get out and pay attention to these things whenever they're building them and see, again, develop your plan. This particular one here, you see where the driveway comes in and goes down the hill. So as you pull in and you look at it, you're actually looking at the roof. So everything's down below. The backside, on the Charlie side of this, there's a walkout. So on the backside of this house, you have 3 stories, but you have about an 8-foot porch on the back, and then it's a straight drop off. So if you have to set a ladder on the back of that thing to go to what would be the second floor bedroom, which would be a 3-story for your ladder, you're not going to have a lot of room back there to be able to work. So when he starts talking about some of these things, get out and look at all of your buildings and develop your plan, because a lot of these are going to give you a special challenge, and don't wait until the time where you have an incident there to try to determine what it is that you're going to need to do.
Do you even carry ground ladders on any of your apparatus that would reach the back of that house, Gary?
Yeah, on all of these were all actually taken in the same subdivision, and like I said, we've got quite a few of these. They for some reason within our area, this has kind of become a little bit more of the norm. These, like I said earlier, the mini farm deal where they're doing a 2-acre lot, and all of these are ladder truck. Our Quint would be the first in, and on that we carry a full complement, a 2-section 35. 24s, 16 straight, a 14 straight. So we've got plenty of ladders on that particular one that within this area. In some of our other areas we would not, because on most of our pumpers we just carry 24s and 14 straights. So we wouldn't have anything on our pumpers, but we do on our Quint.
You do have it. Splice them.
I knew Jared talking.
That's yeah.
Jared's getting ready for his ladders class coming up at the lake in July.
I stand corrected. Yes, we can splice.
Hey, Jared, you want to pitch that real quick? Put that out there.
This is going to be the crappiest pitch ever. I don't even know the dates. I think it's the 17th, 18th, and 19th, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll
pull it up while you talk. Talk about your class. I'll get you the dates.
Okay. They ask us to do ground ladders, saws, and roof work. So we'll cover ground ladders as they pertain to go into the roof. We'll cover saws, kind of go a little bit in depth on the saws, and then roof work. They want us to focus on some kind of standard pitch style roof ventilation. So we'll cover those 3 things. It'll be an 8-hour class. Be a long, hard day. Lots of reps, lots of labor, but lots of challenging your brain at the same time.
Yeah, it's July 17th through the 19th. It's at the lake. I know there's still spots open. If stuff got canceled because of the pandemic, and you're looking for training, it seems like he's going to be a full bore ahead with it. Social distancing, of course.
Hey, Jared, is that the same class multiple days, or is it just one day?
No, they just wanted one 8-hour day.
Gotcha.
And I think O'Byrne's going to be there doing a search class. So Chad and Juicy, I'll let you talk on it in a second. Tim, myself, maybe even Torres, we talked, is going to be there. We're going to try and get a good group together to put on a good show. But we got to fill the classes. A lot of people are shy about signing up because of COVID. But last I talked to him, he's full bore ahead. So get signed up. Juicy, you know what O'Byrne's doing? They're doing search, correct?
Yeah, we're gonna be down the lake on the 18th, doing a 8-hour search class. Residential search is what we're focusing on. Gonna do some vendor search beyond the door. Just an aggressive search class, getting that mindset of why we're searching, what we're searching for, and tips from guys that are really making grabs like Paul and Chad that have made real world grabs and don't just teach, they actually do. And we all know Chad messes up a lot, and he's very open about it, and it's the best way to learn. Now, that's a sign of a great leader to me for admitting your faults and your mistakes. We all make them. Some guys hide them. Some guys take that mistake and make it a great learning tool, and that's what we're hoping to do with our class at the lake. Like I said, it's going to be Saturday the 18th. Sign up. There's 18 spots filled already. I'm not sure what they're capping us off at, but we'll take you if you'll sign up. So come out to the lake, get some sun, get some search on, make fun of the guys cutting roofs while we're doing real work, and we'll go from there.
And you guys bring your mask. Gotta wear those masks. All right, cool. All right, we got any more questions? Let's get these questions out here.
Yeah, Jeff, I've got one.
Awesome.
Kind of get in the weeds again. I've been working through Brannigan's and building up, more of my knowledge on building construction. There seems to be a misconception about how trusses and gusset plates behave in fire. So I'd like to hear what you guys think about that.
Anna, I didn't hear what you said. Can you repeat it? Maybe it's just me. I've had some Seagrams, but
Can you guys hear me now?
yeah, it might have just been me.
Okay, yeah.
Quiet, that's all.
So I was asking if we could talk about the behavior of trusses and gusset plates in fire. I've been working through Brannigan's, trying to build my knowledge on building construction and whatnot. And there appears to be a common misconception and just an absolute fear of them. And I'm just curious what you guys think about that.
I think, and I'll let Josh speak of this in a second, but I think that for years and years and years, even when I came on, they're teaching us never trust a truss. And the problem isn't trusses failing. The problem is decking burning through. And if you sound aggressively with the tools we've talked about, from the new one Mikey's talking about to his ladder to the New York roof hooks or the Boston rake, LA, it doesn't matter. If you're sounding the decking, that's going to fail long before that. And I'll let Josh and Mikey and some of these other guys speak to it, because honestly, we're an older city, so we're not dealing with a ton of trusses and gusset plates. Go ahead, Josh. You probably deal with more lightweight roofs than probably me or Mike, Tim.
I mean, not really. I mean, most of ours are, you know, with the gusset plates and all that. But I mean, I'm not afraid of them. You know, I don't find the whole fear of never get on a truss, and just be aware of them, you know, and pay attention to your conditions, where you're operating, sound the roof, you know, like Jeff says, watch for the decking failure, and get up there and choose a good place, a good safe place to cut a hole that's as close to where you want to cut it as you can, and then get down. You know, don't hang out. We don't mess around, you know, we just get up, cut our hole, maybe cut another hole, or deal with the knee walls if we have to. But I mean, I'm not afraid of them, you know. I mean, the decking is what, you know, gives way first. So that's pretty much all I got on it. We don't really deal with a whole lot of, you know, with the gusset plates and all that. I mean, a lot of it's, you know, true wood frame, you know, that we deal with.
So, Hannah, I want to ask you a question, actually, and I want you to answer it. What is a stick-built house? What is the rafter made of? Hello?
Sorry, I had to press the button. Typically it's like your 4x4, or I'm sorry, 2x4, or I've even, like today, I made a call and got in the attic and it was like a 2x6.
Okay, a stick-built home is almost, and I'm talking our region, okay, so not globally. A stick-built home is a 2x6. What is a truss? It's a 2x4. Which is going to burn through faster?
The one with the smaller dimensions?
Right. So it's not, the gusset plates aren't killing firemen, okay? Decking fails first, number one, and the smaller lumber will always burn faster than the bigger lumber. That's easy. It's common sense. It's exactly like Josh said. You get up there, you do your business, and you go on. One, and this is a huge pet peeve of mine, is watch some of the YouTube videos of the quote-unquote truss systems failing. If you'll watch those videos, the truss doesn't fail. It goes sideways. It falls sideways before the trusses fall down. Okay, a roof is a system. It's built as an entire system. So whether it's stick built or truss built, it's still a system. Each component is tied into the next in some form or fashion. So a lot of those videos are just fear-mongering videos. That's it. The trusses fail sideways. They fall. They don't collapse. They fall. So are they more dangerous? Yeah, they're more dangerous. But it's not the killing firemen. Okay, if you're using common sense, they're no different than a stick-built roof. You can cut differently on them. Maybe with your saw, more mindful of what you're doing with your saw. But as far as the difference between the two, fail first, small lumber burns through faster. So as long as you keep those things in mind, you sound good, you know what you're doing, it's no different.
I have to agree with, with Jarrett that the one that took my buddy's life in 2010, it was a truss, not so much a bowstring truss, but it was a truss roof. And it wasn't the the actual roof that gave way. It slid off the 8-inch pylon, the 8-inch plates on the walls, on the columns. What do they call those columns when they're, you could see them from the outside of the wall? Jesus Christ. I forget my building construction a lot.
A buttress.
What is it?
A buttress, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Like kind of sort of. I mean, it's, so you have that 8-inch plate. It's on the pylon that goes all the way down against the wall, the column, and then the truss literally just sets on it. I mean, it's got some kind of hardware on top of that, but all it did was shift that 8-inch plate shift, and the whole roof came down. Right? It came off in one piece. It was almost like a pancake. So I mean, that Jared's absolutely. From the experience that I've seen, we don't have a lot of them. I'm sorry. We don't have a lot of lightweight construction. We have more old, but we have a lot of bowstring truss. We definitely try to learn from past incidents, and unfortunately we're reactive, right? We all are. But it's not the system that fails. I absolutely agree with him. There's another component that fails, and it's this component you're not really thinking of. You're more worried about this truss, this thing like, oh my God, I can't go up, this thing's gonna fall. I mean, look at LA City. Those guys go on those things like it's no problem. I mean, that's just their thing. It's just that they understand, they know definitely they're building construction. And to me personally, I think that's awesome. I agree with Josh. I think we don't fear them. We respect them, right? We just know what could happen up there. But it's more of that, like I said, the problem we had was that plate that I was kind of holding on to, and it kind of gave way. I wish somebody's sharing pictures. But I can find.
I'm trying to get them up. This is all beyond my scope.
Yeah, no, I have at it.
Keep talking. I'll try and get them up.
Yeah, I wish I knew where they were. I have them too, but I can't really find them. We had a whole a whole segment, a whole PowerPoint on what happened on 75th Street. Our full chef.
There you go.
Phenomenal.
So here's that one. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing?
Yep.
Yeah.
This was a garden style apartment, Hannah. They basically burnt the roof off to the firewall there. And if you zoom in, what do you see that's left?
Your guts and plates, and also your 2x4s.
Yeah. Now from this picture back, I don't know. Tim was there. He could tell you I took these pictures, but it's probably 30 feet, 40 feet. It's all burnt away, but all this, the decking's burnt away, all those, and they were walking around on those, putting their weight on them, kind of overhauling from the roof. There's another picture of the gussets burnt away, but all the decking's gone. So clearly, before it ever gets that bad, the gusset plates and rafters are going to hold, our trusses, are going to hold long before, or long after the decking burns away in most cases. And this was an older building. That OSB board and all that's going to burn away even quicker. So I was glad I was able to figure out how to get these pictures from my phone to here to show you.
That's
Hey,
awesome. Thanks.
Hannah, to clarify, when I say stick house or stick built, I see your question. Stick built is conventional framing. Okay, that's your standard framing. And then Aaron Sparks, you questioned top plate. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, no, I was just asking if that's what he was describing, if he was talking about the top plate.
Oh, the word Mike was trying to come up with?
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Yeah, that's it. That was exactly it. Thank you. I'm over here trying to find out what it looked like again, but that's it. Top plate. Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, Drew Hacker, man, it's good seeing you on here. How you been, brother? See if he can figure out how to unmute himself. All right. Drew's done some teaching with us. He's down there outside of Kansas City, so it's good to see him on here.
Sorry about that. I couldn't get my screen to pull up.
No, that's good, brother. How you been, man?
Been doing good. I've been trying to make one of these for several weeks now, but I recently have a newborn baby, and it's kind of put a kibosh on some of the stuff I normally do. So I'm glad I could make this one.
Welcome to the club, brother. I'm sure most of the guys on here aren't feeling sorry for us.
Yeah, nobody feels sorry for me. I'm not asking you to feel sorry for me.
Hey, on behalf of all of us on here, we said it. You obviously weren't on, but sorry about the recent line of duty death you guys had down there, and our thoughts and prayers were with you guys. And I'm sure you guys did everything you could to make it good for his family. So
yeah, it was good. It was good. I appreciate that. I know the guys here felt a lot of support from, especially around the state of Missouri, and so yeah, we definitely appreciated that.
Yeah. All right, man. Hey, so you got any questions? Anything you're dying to know? A direction you want to steer our conversation for the evening, or you just kind of taking it all in?
I'm just taking it all in. I'm just kind of happy to be here. Like I said, I've been trying to get on one of these for several weeks now, and just my schedule has just been crazy. But I've always enjoyed teaching with you guys, and hopefully I can continue that whenever things slow down.
Awesome. Yep. Well, I'm sure we're all ready to get back to it. Getting stuck at home with our wives working from home is awesome. Let me tell you.
Hey, Jeff, I just want to throw it just because I found it.
Yeah, throw it up there, brother.
No, just what definitely came out of, unfortunate problems. We get these now too. I just want to throw this out. It's not a big deal. But after in 2010, when everything happened with the Red X buildings, we got all the stuff. Our bureau, as best they can, they send out stuff. They send out these things called dangerous buildings. And if it's a dangerous building and then we're going to that building, it says dangerous building over the alarm terminal to let us know what we're about to go into. Granted, it kind of explains everything it says. It says stay off the roof, collapse hazards, stay out of building. I mean, this sounds like just a shit show. I actually seen this building. I've been near this building. I actually been almost in the building, just like kind of a walkthrough. But they're getting a little bit better at, things, showing us stuff, giving us pictures, kind of helping us out. But we've come a long way, I have to admit. It's pretty nice to have these things out there to help us out. So I just wanted to share that with you. Sorry.
Hey, that's actually that's really interesting. So I learned something kind of about identifying your vacant structures from Chief Lombardo before he left the Buffalo Fire Department. He considered this like one of his greatest career accomplishments, in fact, and it was kind of two-part. First was identifying your vacants, and he created two classifications: vacant and then vacant dangerous. Vacant dangerous basically means that unless there's a confirmed victim or some other means of absolutely having to get in there, it's going to be an exterior attack. Versus your vacant, the structure is still considered somewhat sound. And then the flip side of that, they had multiple line of duty deaths on that department, and then also with his career. And one of them, the gentleman actually ended up losing his leg, and as a result, his career. But his mom actually worked together and went before the council, and that's how they created a 5-year plan to take down 5,000 vacant buildings for the city. So anyways, just something interesting I learned. I was driving through St. Louis a couple days ago after visiting some family members, and there's just so many vacant buildings, and that seems pretty common with a lot of your older and bigger cities. It's kind of above my head, to really do anything about that, but that was an interesting approach that he took to solving a problem in his city.
The only thing with the vacant stuff, it's a very fluent word. I don't mean to be,
Oh no, you're so right. You're so right, and I should have said that.
No, it's not your fault. I'm just saying it's same with us. I don't know how you can roll up and say, hey, because it has that red X on the building, it's vacant. That blows my mind. The whole saying that mice with matches, real cheesy and corny, but it started some way. How did it start? So
Mm-hmm.
I would much rather hear the words unoccupied or, unknown occupant, we don't know. I wouldn't say it's vacant. It didn't start by itself. So that's just my pet peeve with that. I'm not a big fan of just saying, hey, here you go. It's vacant. You're good to go.
Oh,
That's
it was specifically designed so that the crews themselves would go out and actually like do these own surveys in their districts and whatnot. They divided it up throughout the city, and it was geared specifically toward the structural elements. It's identifying, okay, is 75% of the floor missing or not? If anyone knows anything about the department, they're extremely aggressive.
That's a lot better than what we're doing. Unfortunately, when we had the Red X program going, it was our building department doing the work. And they would put a Red X on a building that we look at and we're like, why would they do that? Well, they don't understand what we want. We want to know if the floors are gone, stairs are gone, it's about to collapse, there's something wrong with the foundation. They're doing it if there's no toilets in the building or the plumbing's gone.
Oh, Lord.
I can give two flying shits about what's wrong with the plumbing. I can't, but that's what our guys were doing. It really didn't help out a ton. We should have been doing it ourselves, but it is what it is.
I was, Mikey, you jumped all over it, but I was going to say, we're default aggressive interior attack department. It says it in our SOGs. We may say vacant. It appears vacant in a size up, but our default is to go in and do a search, put water on the fire from the inside out. Barring you go around back and the wall's missing or something like that. So we fight a ton of vacant fires. A lot of people would call them vacant. A lot of people, including my mom and wife, they'll be like, well, why are you going into these buildings? But Tim will tell you there's several buildings that appear vacant, that they're actually occupied. There's what most people would call vacant buildings. We end up making rescues out of. That's just the way we operate. And I'm proud to be a part of it. We go into all these buildings, short of it being structurally compromised. We're a default interior attack department. And I love that it says it word for word in our SOGs. So there's no confusion. But to classify anything, we go around these vacant buildings all the time and people are living in them. So they're not vacant. They're just derelict, I guess, or
abandoned,
in rough shape.
I mean, life's the priority. Absolutely. As far as the city side goes, I mean, being able to take down those buildings that are actually vacant, that could be something. I don't know. It's a thought that I've been chewing on. I know it was an interesting approach that, like, because of line of duty deaths and serious injuries that ended careers. They made an approach to that was like, let's take these down. If we can verify that they're gone, like
and we got a program. The city's taking so many down per year. I mean, but in the old cliche says nothing's vacant till we search it and say it's vacant. I wholeheartedly agree with that. But the other thing it does, go into these vacant building fires, make you a better firefighter. I mean, the work is good. I want to go fight as many fires as I can. I don't want anyone's shit to burn up. I don't want anyone to get hurt. But if I'm working and there's a fire, I want to go. I mean,
hell yeah.
And the more work you get, the more aggressive interior attacks you get on a quote unquote vacant building, the better you're going to get at honing our craft, and the better you're going to be for when there's that occupied building fire at 3 a.m. And you got to go to work. So I don't see any problem with the way we do things. With that being said, we're not recklessly running into these things either. I mean, someone does a 360, we put a chief in the front, a chief in the rear. If there's cracks, if the wall's missing, if there's part of the reason we're big on sending guys to the roof is that the roof's sagging, all these things, it's all taken into account. And the unfortunate part about all that is you got to go to fires in these types of buildings to get good at fighting fires in these types of buildings.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, I was going to kick it to you next for your question. Go ahead, brother.
I was just going to follow up your comment with, the other thing we have going for us is building construction. We don't have a lot of lightweight. We've got a lot of, ordinary 50, 60, 70, 80, 100-year-old buildings with brick and 2x4, 2x6, 2x10, all that kind of stuff where, we've been to the same building on fire 2, 3, 4 times, and we're able to go in and put it out, as opposed to, a 5-minute response time and the thing's through the roof and the walls are already falling off. So that's something to, between our good building construction and our heavy manpower, we're allowed a lot more, leeway than, Jared, the real fireman in the conversation here, that really have their, they're behind the 8 ball before they even get started. So just keep that in mind if you're taking any of this to heart.
No, I agree, Tim. And Hannah's been here for every single one, I believe. And I've said it several times. I say it in all our classes. Jared, Hannah, some of these other guys. I mean, even my buddy Timmy Bowler down there in Jeff City to an extent. You guys all got to be better firemen than me and Big Juicy and Schultz and Torres, Mr. Webb up there. Dude, we have so many motherfuckers coming to this scene. Like, there's plenty of people to help me out if I make a mistake. I say it as a joke because there's a video out there, but we literally run into each other going to fires. We got so many people coming in there that, these people, Konas, a good buddy of mine, co-owner of Engine House Training, he's got 3 motherfuckers at a fire for, who knows, 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, we don't have that. Tim and I ride around with more people on our one truck than Dave will get at his whole fire sometimes. So, sometimes people get lost in saying like, oh, never do a transitional attack, never do this, never do that. Well, listen, if we only had 3 dudes showing up at a fire, we might be more transitional attack department. I don't know. Thankfully, I don't have to deal with that, but I wouldn't want to be in some of your guys' shoes. It's tough, but we all got to do the same job. So I hope that kind of answers your question, Hannah. I mean,
oh, it totally does. It totally does. And I'm a new fireman. And I'm on here just trying to learn, and I really appreciate all the perspectives. For me, again, kind of going back to how long I've been in the service, the biggest problem that I've been having is just trying and to bridge that gap between the inexperience and the the training that I need. And so yeah, I mean that's why I'm on here. That's what I'm here for. And asking the questions and saying the shit and figuring it out.
Just don't wish it away, man. Enjoy the beginning years of learning everything, and everything's new. I mean,
yeah,
that's the formative years, so to speak, I think is the saying. Tim will tell you I'm quite the wordsmith, but so hey, Brandon Smith or Jonesy, I've seen your guys' names in here before, I believe. Do either of you have questions, or you want to give a shout out or anything? Not to put you on the spot, but I am.
You're good at that, Jeff.
Someone's got to do it. Mr. Smith, maybe they're all sleeping through the podcast. I don't know. Jonesy, you there?
They passed out.
Hey, Juicy, we haven't heard you. I haven't heard from you in a little bit, buddy. What's you got anything you want to throw in on any of the subjects we've covered? We'll start wrapping it up if no one's got any other questions.
No, man, it's all good stuff. I love jumping on this thing. It's good getting different perspectives, seeing some old friends on here that I can't see very often anymore. But it's just good. It's refreshing. We've got a lot of good stuff coming up with the lake and into the job symposium coming up in January. That's nice seeing guys have this passion, and it's a place for us to recharge our batteries, ask stupid questions, get good answers from guys that are doing it. So it's just I love being on this thing, man. It's a good deal for all of us, especially during the COVID pandemic and the protests and all that stuff. People aren't doing normal life. It's a way to kind of keep all that in check. I really appreciate the extra effort you put in doing this stuff.
Awesome. It's always good having you, dude. Juicy. I mean, we've developed a friendship over years. It's awesome. Awesome hearing from you and getting another perspective from another city. It's weird you brought up Into the Job Symposium. I've shared it. I think it's going to be really, really cool. In fact, I'll put it out there. I was talking to him earlier today. I know his big news he's going to release. I'll let him release that. But Isaac Frazier is going to come on here in a couple weeks. He's going to talk about that conference he's putting together, and we're going to do one on extrication with him, and we're going to get Chad and you guys from O'Byrne do a great extrication class as well. So we're going to talk extrication. We're going to talk about that conference. We just got to get the scheduling worked out here in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned for that. It should be a big one like last week was. Timothy, kind of wrap it up, and I believe you have a question for one of us in here.
Yeah, just kind of piggybacking onto what we already talked about. I was actually texting Jared earlier this week, as a captain making calls and size ups and things like that. I can speak to our department. It's very much, we get 2-story break vacant or 2-story break occupied. It's one or the other. And I was asking Jared if he was aware of any better adjectives or any better ways to kind of break that down. He gave me a really good answer, so I'll kick to Jared. He can give the group his answer, and then I'm just curious as to if anybody else has anything to add or a different way to word it, or any different spin on that as opposed to a definite occupied or vacant. Because obviously, what we talked about earlier, there's some problems there with those absolutes. So if anybody has anything else,
So for me, right, wrong, or indifferent, the way I look at it, the wording of it, if we were to ask 5 people what unoccupied meant to them as far as a descriptive and a size up, we'd probably get 5 answers. Probably the same thing with vacant or vacated, whatever. So for me, I don't say any of it. I describe the building, describe fire and smoke conditions, and any pertinent information, and that's it. You can get carried away with your size ups anyways. You get guys that want to write a novel. I don't care that the 3rd row of bricks from the ground is painted blue, but the 6th is painted red. I don't care about any of that. Just describe it quickly and move on. So I don't say occupied. See people standing out front, say it, but keep it simple. If you don't use those words, then nobody can confuse those words.
Anyone want to tag on that?
Yeah, just real quick. We're the same way. We got a lot of squatters. We don't do anything vacant or non-vacant. It's same thing. I'll kind of tag the same thing as we describe the conditions of the fire, the structure, and that's it. Everything's pretty much considered occupied in our area. We don't change anything else up.
Yeah, it always threw me off for us, and it's hard to explain because there's a big draw on the fire service. Oh, never say it's vacant. And Tim will tell you, we use it in our size up, but it really doesn't change the way we attack the fire. I mean, it appears vacant, or, a vacant building, which means it's probably boarded up windows and stuff like that. It tells us that. But it doesn't change how we do any of our on-the-scene stuff. Like I said, unless the structure is compromised, like it's missing the whole seaside, yeah, well then, we're probably not going into that. But for us on our job, I mean, just because it's the culture, it doesn't matter. What you say in the size up, if it appears vacant, okay, so be it. We're still going to go in and do a search. So it's good to know that other departments out there are the same way. Sounds like you guys don't even say it, Dave, because truthfully, it doesn't even matter. And, you know, on the list of, we've talked building construction tonight and all that stuff, you know, and we have some people lined up to go building construction, but Tim and I have had several conversations, you know, truthfully, as long as you know what fire's doing to it, building construction is not a huge deal for us in St. Louis because we're not dealing with a lot of lightweight construction and all that. So maybe you guys got some other perspectives. I don't know if anyone wants to piggyback on that, but I do know, Hannah, you said you had another question for the group.
I always got questions, Jeff.
I know. I was relying on you to carry us through this when it was getting a little rough in the beginning, but we pulled it out. So.
Well, you're welcome. So, I mean, just kind of a perspective on what you just talked about with the building construction, you know, I've got a somewhat varied district myself, but then also just my lack of experience. You know, if I ever find myself somewhere where I am fighting a lot more fire, I'd like to be able to have that knowledge coming in. You know, you guys get to learn on the job. Not everyone gets to do that. So that's kind of me trying to bridge that gap, is what can I learn and how can I apply that if I ever have the opportunity to. So that's just another perspective. Yeah, so my question, Jared, I think last time, a couple talks ago, you were discussing you and another fireman were like hugging a punching bag to try and like be a heavy weighted victim, and then you had your guys pull them out. So tell me about that. But then also, you know,
sounds like a crazy Saturday night in Jared's world.
It totally does. I missed it.
Or his house training class, one of the two.
But you know, that is a completely different game, finding somebody that's 300, 400, 500 pounds than, you know, someone that's 225 or less. So what do you think about that?
First off, the whole reason I've gained so much weight is just for research. That's it. I'm just kidding. Because
That's because you hurt yourself doing that CrossFit.
Fuck CrossFit.
Yeah.
Oh, did I say that?
No. So basically, what we were doing is we were trying to simulate a fat ass, right? A land whale, and we didn't really have a quality way of doing that. We all like to think we're big and strong, but you know, you drag 100-pound person through an obstacle and you're beat, you're done. So what's it going to be like when you have that 300 or 400 pounder? So our solution to that, our makeshift solution in the immediate, was I laid on the ground. I held our punching bag. We unhooked it from the ceiling. I held onto that. And then my senior man, he laid on top of the punching bag. And then we kind of hugged each other and made the punching bag a sandwich. Looked awkward, felt awkward. It was awkward, but it completely accomplished what we were after. And that was getting humbled and getting our asses kicked and realizing, oh man, we're not as good as we think we are. That was the whole point of that exercise. So I think between the two of us, we were right at 400 with the punching bag. And we got to see exactly how hard it was to drag a victim. And we didn't allow any handles, so to speak. We weren't dragging on a split concrete floor. We weren't using boots. We weren't using a DRD. We weren't using any of those cheater devices, you know, that people like to use to cheat during search training and rescue training. And we got humbled by it. It's just all there was to it. We got humbled. So that forced us to start reaching out, talking to other guys, talk to Mikey, talk to Ty, Jeff, Tim, all those guys. Hey, what do you guys do in these situations? What are some ideas? Here's what we came up with. Here's what we're doing, yada, 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 and tried to go from there.
You know, it's interesting you bring this up, Hannah and Jared. I totally stole this from you, brother. So it made me look really, really good to the new guys. Last cycle, I did some search training. We have 3 guys on the pumper in our house, all of them with less than 2 years on. 2 of them brand new, One's got 1.5 years or change. I put them through some search training, and I wanted to build their confidence. So the first few times crawling through the engine house upstairs, we have a hose dummy, maybe 120 pounds, 150 pounds tops. They rocked it out, man. They were rock stars, did everything perfect. You know, so I put them through the third evolution, and I went into the bunk hall and I changed down to my gym shorts and my t-shirt. I took off my socks. I was walking around with as less clothes as I felt comfortable. And I'm a big dude, man. I'm one of those fat asses you guys are talking about. So I went in there and I laid in the bathroom, and they came in and found me, and they put their hands on me and they go, "Oh shit, we got a real victim." And they expended their whole bottle moving me 15 feet. You know, so now we're back to drilling them on drags and carries and working the set. But, you know, I didn't want to totally tear them down from the get-go. I wanted to see what they had. But until you drag real victims, and I stole this from Jared 100%. I took off my boots. I took off my socks. You know, short of laying there naked, which I'm not comfortable with, you know, they had as hard a time as they would on any fire. And they all expended their bottles. They were smoked. They took off their stuff. And they're like, "Oh, we got stuff we need to work on." Short of them doing that, I think they, you know, I don't really crush them or anything, but, you know, they realize they have stuff they need to work on, and that's what we're going to deal with. So the more realistic you can make it, and we started doing this in our classes, you know, Tim and Jared, I know Juicy, you guys are doing it with O'Byrne. I've talked with Josh before. I'm sure he would do the same. You know, you got to use real people with next to no clothes on, because like I say, I kind of say it as a joke, but they're going to be fat, slick, and naked. And that's what you're going to have to drag out of a building fire. So if anyone wants to tag on to that, we haven't heard from Mr. Webb in a while, or, you know, anyone wants to add to that. Paul just jumped on. You know, Paul could probably speak on to that. It's good seeing you, Paul.
I'll tell you one thing we are going to do in our class at the Lake Conference is I am the final scenario. So there's a big, juicy final get me out of this house sort of thing. So we got some ideas of wearing Tyvek suit, getting a little Dawn dish soap on there, making it slick like the skin sloughing off. That's a realistic training you're going to get. That's the stuff that takes you from doing your firefighter 1 elephant room search to be doing a real world search and making a difference and seeing how hard, adequate or inadequate you are in your search training. So that's the stuff that you can kind of do that makes that realistic feel. It'll humble a person really quick. So that's one thing we always throw into our trainings that we try to do with the new guys. It's hard on shift, but going to a conference, a search class, that's where you can really kind of make that improvement on that step up in your game. So
agreed. And it doesn't even take all that. Them dudes are smoked with me on a tile floor. And that's all it was. I laid in a bathroom at the engine house, the captain's bathroom.
One thing that I've noticed, I haven't been involved in a ton of rescues, but the couple that I have been involved with, one thing you got to remember as firefighters, my department sends 16 to 18 people to a single story or a single family resident. And we do a bad job of getting in each other's way. So we'll get in there, and then all of a sudden you got 6 people trying to do the same thing, and it doesn't work out very well. So I think one thing as the fire service needs to do, especially people with a lot of people that show up on scene, is we need to do a better job of discipline and just not in helping instead of getting in each other's way. That's another thing that we need to pay attention to when you're training. Just throw a bunch of people in a room and have everybody help at the same time, and you'll find that you actually don't get a lot done. So,
awesome.
Yeah, me and Chad Daly talked about this a lot, and like I'll add one thing, like training with a punching bag and just any heavy item. You know, that's probably, this is going to get you stronger, right? I mean, definitely going to get you stronger and teach you how to manipulate a heavy object. But none of that can like prepare you for a true limp body that has no rigidity to it whatsoever. You know, I mean, anybody that's ever moved a body at length that was completely unconscious knows that. You know, I mean, it's the best that we can do, but there's still that element that we can't, you know, replicate without having a dead person, you know, to move. So just be aware of that, you know, when you're training, if you can try to add that some way. I've never been able to find a way to do it, but and the other thing about the coordination between the people that are moving a victim, you know, I mean, me and Chad, when we taught the class, it was like, you know, try to coordinate this between you and the guys that are working together. You know, once you yell out, you know, hey, I got somebody over here that's calling everybody in that wants an award, you know, and then you got 6, 7 people pulling on a victim in all different directions, and you're not moving them anywhere. Whereas if you get a couple guys that have worked together and trained together, they're going to be able to move that victim, you know, pretty quickly, you know, even a heavy one. But yeah, as far as the manipulating a body that's truly unconscious is way different than a heavy bag, but it's the best that we can do, you know.
Hey, this sounds kind of sadistic. Well, actually, one thing, you end up playing ping pong with multiple rescuers if you're not careful. You play ping pong with a dead body. But secondly, as weird as it may be, we've had a couple codes where I've actually moved the patient. I justified it by moving to get more room, right? But I moved them in that position intentionally so that I got my hands on a limp body, as weird as that sounds.
I was going to add that too. If you make med runs, you know, I mean, that's a good time to get that feel, you know.
You know, I would add that it falls on us. And Jared, we started doing it in our classes. Juicy, I know you guys are doing it. Paul, that falls on us. The majority of the people on here are instructors from one place or another. Listen, to do this right, you need to lay down and be the victim. Be limp with next to no clothes. And it sucks, man. You're going to take a fucking frontispiece to the forehead, and you're going to get beat up, and you're going to get rug burn, and you're going to get fucking drug across shit, and you're going to be uncomfortable, you know, but that's on us as instructors to make it as realistic as possible. Not in there with turnout gear and DRDs and all that bullshit that makes it way too easy. But that's on us. You know, I look at who's left on this conversation, anyone that's listening when we post this up in the future. If you're teaching people, you need to be the victim. Fuck those rescue Randys and all that shit. It's fine and dandy. You know, it's a good starting point. It's good to build confidence and build technique. But at some point, when it gets down to the nitty gritty, that's on us as instructors to go there and be limp and not help them out, because we all know, those of us that have been there, you know, and pulled people out, the victims aren't helping us out at all. So, you know, that's kind of my take on it.
Hey, Paul, real quick, I want you to chime in on that. I know you and Chad have a rule about carrying versus dragging. Could you tell us again where you kind of draw that line? Because I think I agree with you on all that.
Yeah, I was going to shoot it to Paul next, Tim. Anyway, thank you very much. Also, the sling is awesome. Your guys' Kansas City sling with the DRD is pretty awesome. So. Paul Vernon.
I don't know that he heard you.
Hey, Paul, you there? You wanna talk a bit on your philosophy of trying to carry a victim versus dragging a victim?
Hold on a second.
All right, brother.
Sorry, they got us out here in this command post for these protests. So.
Are you guys just staging, or what's going on with all that?
Yeah, they're taking off down the road now. They're walking around the block, so we're just sitting here waiting to see what happens. So. No, picking them up, dragging them, carrying them. Actually, when you're training, you know, we prefer, if we can pick up the drag them, we just let their feet drag, man. We don't try to pick them up. Actually, we find out when we're trying to carry somebody else, you know, other than like up a set of stairs, we just get their upper body and we drag them. We'd let their heels drag. We got their upper body off the floor, and we go. One person leads them out, and the other one drags and carries it. We practice on it quite a bit. You know, you just got to practice, know your weight limit, know which way can you pick them up, throw them over your shoulder, or is it something you have to pick them and drag them? So, so it's kind of like knowing what you have before you get started. So, and you just got to be able to size that up pretty quick, you know. So, and it just comes down to training and drilling and drilling and drilling. And we had one just a couple of weeks ago where we ended up dragging them out, and people wanted to pick his heels up, and it made things worse. And you know, we just told them to drop their heels. And once they did that, man, we were out in just like 10 seconds. We were down the stairs and out the front door. So, your victim's size really determines what you're going to do, and it just comes down to training. Is really what it does. So, you're just going to have to figure that out on your own. I don't know if I can really tell you, other than that, except you're just going to really have to train on your own and figure out what you can do as a crew. So.
I appreciate that, Paul. And with you and Chad and the other dudes from Auburn and the other Kansas City guys have added to this podcast has been awesome. We appreciate it. We gave everyone a chance in the beginning to kind of talk while we got you. How's your fire duty been? How you guys hanging in there with all this protesting and rioting and all that? You guys doing good? Well, seems like they're doing good. He muted us, so seems like they're going to work. So, all right, we've been doing pretty good. We're approaching the 2-hour mark. I would I'd like to spin it around the room to kind of give everyone a chance to close it out. We don't do that every episode, so just. Big Juicy, we'll start with you because you're at the top left. You're the AB corner of my screen. So what do you got to close up on? You got anything you want to add or hear about? Say, it's all on you, brother.
No, man, good stuff. Now I always like kind of spitballing with everybody. One thing I wanted to add about a couple of questions back about the board ups and vacants. We don't call anything a vacant here. We call whatever the structure is, what's showing. And if it's boarded up, now that will cue our IC to maybe add an extra truck for some more truck work possibilities, depending on the size of the structure. But we try to stay away from that word vacant. In my first due, I have 3 over 20-story high-rise vacants. We make all kinds of stupid shit in them of homeless, starting warming fires, that sort of thing. So we don't call anything vacant because there's always someone in there doing something and causing us to go out and investigate that building. So it's kind of interesting to see a 1-story single-family home vacant compared to a 33-story high-rise where they had shortly before I came here, they had a high-rise fire on the 28th floor, no power, no elevators, nothing. And I'm really not going to rely on that standpipe, but they did. It worked well. And so you never know what you're getting yourself into with those boarded up structures is what we like to call them. So, but good seeing everybody. Good stuff tonight. I hope everyone stays safe with everything going on, and catch you next week, hopefully.
Juicy, thanks for bringing that up. I dropped the ball as the host. I meant to swing that to you on that, so I'll take credit for fucking that up. So that's on me, buddy. Thanks for your input. Mr. Webb, buddy, let's hear what you got to wrap it up.
Yeah, man, I'd say just thanks for having me again. I learned. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, buddy.
Okay. I learned something every time I get on here, man. It's good for hearing from guys from all over the country. Just to touch on what Juicy said about the vacants, we we don't do it on. It doesn't mean anything to us other than we know what type of structure we're dealing with now, and all the special with something that's been abandoned or vacant, but they're all occupied. I think we've pulled more people out of vacant homes, vacant buildings than we have occupied in the last 10 years. So, yeah, It doesn't matter as long as everybody's on the same page in your department, whether you're calling it vacant or not. You know, as long as you know what that means. But thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it. I'll be back next week.
No, we appreciate you getting on, taking time with us, man. We learned a ton from you, and I was singing your praises the other day to Schultz on how much fun we had up there in Milwaukee when we were teaching that class. You know.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a really good time.
I'm happy you're on board, and I'm happy you're doing this with us. It's awesome. So
You didn't
thanks
say
for having
anything
me.
about him being a good fireman, though. You just said he was a hell of a drinker.
He is a hell of a drinker.
I drink. Yeah, a little bit.
You're the only guy that drinks lady beers like me. I'm glad to have you.
No, it's my wife's that's out here in the garage.
At least you're not into the
That's
white
what I had
claws
last
yet.
week, too.
Why don't you motherfuckers get off that White Claw? God damn it, Tim. You cut
Yeah,
that.
well, I got one out earlier. My daughter, she's 15. She looked at me. She's like, "Fag."
That's just
I was
Zima
like,
disguise. You know that, right?
That hurt.
What's
That hurt.
that?
So I got a buddy that he was at that party at the Lake of the Ozarks where they violated social distancing. He shared the Snapchat that went CNN and went viral and all that. And in one of his interviews, he said, you know, nothing's crazy when you have the claw or whatever, you know, and White Claw picked him up and sponsored him, sent him a bunch of White Claw and shit. So he's all
Hey,
through.
Hey, Jeff, 0 COVID cases came out of that. 0. Just throwing that out there.
Where were you earlier when we were pitching your conference?
Man, you know, dad life.
I'll
taking
get
the
you.
daughter to church and coming and picking her up and coming back here. So I jumped on while I could.
Well, I got you, man. We pitched O'Byrne's class. We pitched
Great.
We pitched Engine House's class. Go ahead, pitch your conference, brother. Let's go.
All right. As of today, we are at the registration numbers we had last year. So COVID, killer hornets, rioting, whatever's going on, we're still training at the lake. So, you know, the more the merrier at this point. We're pushing really hard this last 6 or 7 weeks. We got a lot going on. Jared's got a great thing going. Chad and the boys have a great thing going. That extrication class is on fire. It's almost full. The engine class has like 3 seats left. So we got a lot going on. So like as many troops that can put it out there, the better, and let them know that Missouri's open and we're ready to train. We just had a fire yesterday, so we go to them too. Far less than a lot of you guys go to, but we still got a good stop on a 10,000 square foot plus $5 million house yesterday. So we're ready to just keep pushing. And I don't know what else to tell you, Jeff.
Well, I got worried it was my parents' house down there, but when you said 10,000 square foot, $5 million house, I knew it wasn't my parents' house.
I'll send you some pictures. We ended up checking it with the boat and then getting back in and pulling a bunch of ceilings. So you don't really realize how much vaulted ceilings mean to you when the walls are 12 foot, then the vaulted ceiling starts and it's tongue and groove, and then the whole roof is clay tile. You know, the whole get in and pull ceiling and hit it thing wasn't working yesterday. So we checked it and then got back in, and we ended up taking 24-foot ladders into the living room so we could get up there and get some work done. So just a unique.
That's still pretty badass that you could say you put a fire in check with the motherfucking boat.
Yeah. And we were, you know, I sighted that thing in like long range artillery, and I think we were about 250 feet plus from the house, and I caught the hole that we had, the Osage Beach guys had pulled some clay tiles off, and it was running that whole attic in that house, and we checked it, and you know, a little unorthodox, but it worked, and we got guys back inside, and quite happy property owners. So, and we still got a primary search done on it because it started somehow. So.
Good deal, brother. Glad
Yeah,
to hear.
man.
Hey, I'm going to kick it. We're wrapping up there here, David, so I'm glad you're able to pitch your conference.
I just wanted to pop on for a minute and tell everybody, hey, and we're open. So.
We'll be there, you know.
Awesome. And the
One way or
support
another, we'll
network's
be there. we're lining up the all-star cast between us and O'Byrne. You're gonna have some all-star instructors down there. So,
Dude, it's dreams, man. I never thought it would be where it's at, and it's pretty impressive to sit back and look at it. So we'll see you guys down there. I'll quit taking up all the time.
all right, buddy. Jared
All right.
Smith, Ozark Mountain Leatherworks, live in the shop. Let's hear your closing thoughts, statements, questions, anything you want to hear on this question and answer segment of our podcast.
No, these are awesome. All the different perspectives is killer. It shows me where I'm wrong a lot of the times, and it reinforces some of the good sometimes. It's great to hear it from so many different places, so many different points of perspective. That's really all I got. Just enjoy it. These are great.
We enjoy having you, Jared. I would gladly, I would work for you any day of the week, my friend. Preferably in St. Louis and not where you work. But
That would also be my ideal situation too.
I'm just saying. I don't want to work for Kevin Smith and Nixon. No offense.
Hey, if you want to be the most proficient, badass lift assister ever, I got you.
With a red shirt.
You do have a truck with no water, so that's cool.
With the red shirt, yes.
You can hold that. Firefighter Schultz, what do you got, buddy?
I think these are awesome. I hope we can do them every, like 3 or 4 weeks or something like that. Gives people a chance to kind of vet things across a broad spectrum of people, rural and urban and all these other things. So if we could do that, and you can kind of relapse back into the previous weeks. Also, I think Woodward should give out a discount code to people that tune into the podcast. So that's all I got.
Oh, he's putting them on the spot. Woodward, work your magic. We need a discount for Engine House Training Podcast member and O'Byrne.
Enter code EHT 2020.
You're gonna have to run that one past Chad. I ain't charging nothing.
You better make that. You better make that happen, David.
What's that?
You better make that happen. It's been requested.
EHT. Oh wait, no, that's my.
No, seriously though, it's a Flores. This will be my. I went as a student the first year just because I needed to get back to being a student. You do so much teaching, sometimes you forget how it is to be a student. And I helped last year, and I'm teaching this year. Hopefully, it's pretty reasonable for what you get, Dave. So
yeah. Hey, we threw in breakfast and lunch this year too. So with your registration, so.
And I love the place that you moved it to this year. That place is cool as shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
I
pool's
love the
badass.
Yeah.
That pool's badass. I may just hang out at the pool and forget I was supposed to go to class. So.
Yeah. So don't drink and drive at the Lake of the Ozarks. But we need to make sure that's really clear. Wolfpack will be out all summer. So.
Does that include boats too?
What's that?
Does that include boats too?
That definitely includes boats, Paul. Definitely
Yeah.
includes boats.
Just stay at the resort and you won't have any problems. We got a live band that's hopefully the one I'm picking out of Kansas City. On Saturday night with that pool bar, Friday night on the vendor show, and Fools Bash. Lake Area Fools are throwing a bash that night. So it's going to be cool.
We're all looking forward to it.
I'll come up with a code. I'll hook those guys up. I'm looking. I see Drew out in the crowd. I see some other guys. I'll see if I can see what I can do. So,
Chief, what do you got for us, Gary? You got anything to wrap up?
Not much. Enjoy getting to spend some time with you guys. Just one thing to remember, it's great to sit down and talk about it, but it doesn't replace getting out and doing it. Go out and, get some practice, get in some reps, whatever it is. Just do shit to make yourself better.
Awesome. Mr. Konez, anything?
About the same. It's always a pleasure. I learn a lot here from you guys. I appreciate it. Just love it. Love hearing from everybody.
Of course, you're on the same level as Gary. You guys do all that teaching together. You guys are like bunk bred brothers.
I don't know which is
Yeah.
worse, him or Conus. They get me into this rabbit hole text message during them, and
Man, I have to ignore them or else I lose all train of thought. So, Paul Vernon, man, you got anything to wrap this up? I know you came late, but dude, as always, you're always welcome. We love having you. We love having Chad. All the dudes from O'Byrne, solid as can be. Kansas City Rescue 9, clearly on duty tonight. What do you got for us, brother? And did he just hang up on us? Oh, no, he didn't.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
You disappeared from my screen, brother. I apologize.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. I'm sorry.
It happens.
I just started trying to listen to the radio and stuff. Just, yeah, nothing crazy's happening yet. But no, man, we always enjoy being a part of this stuff, man. We appreciate the invite. We love having the input. Love seeing the people that are on here, and there's a lot of knowledge, in here, and I love hearing from the other guys. And yeah, we love doing this stuff. We can't wait till we can get back out there and start training again. I mean, we can do our stuff in house, but I like traveling around the state and being able to meet new people and train with them, man. It's just getting out there and, like I said, get out there and do it. You got to get out there and do it. If you just keep it to yourself, you're really doing the service no good. So we enjoy it. We enjoy you guys keeping us involved. So
sounds like one way or another we'll be seeing you in a month or so, a little over a month at the lake. So,
yep, that's a good spot.
We'll be there.
Absolutely, I can't wait.
Staying on the west end of the state, Drew Hacker, we heard from you tonight. You got anything to wrap it up?
No, I'm just glad I was able to make this one, and hopefully I'll make next week's. So appreciate everybody, and the knowledge is great.
And for the record, we don't do a wrap up every week. It's just this is Q&A, so I'm giving everyone a chance to shoot out what they got. So coming up to Hannah. Hannah, how many more questions you got for us? We gonna go another 3 hours or what? She's speechless. I got her
I
speechless.
think he put something in the notes a minute ago. She left on a call.
Oh, well, good looking out. All right, so anyone else got anything before I turn it over to the legend? Nobody got anything. Michael Torres, the legend. One of my favorite people in this whole world.
Hey,
I want to hear from you.
Hey, it's funny when you said that. My wife's like, "Who the fuck they calling the legend?"
She knows. She knows firsthand.
My wife looks at me. She's like, "Get the fuck out of here." No,
Hey,
I am no legend. I'm just
put your wife on. She knows you're the legend.
They're diving into some food. Her and her girlfriend. They're just chilling over here. We're in the backyard relaxing. Got no kids today, so it's nice. It's a first, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm honored to be here. I'm no legend. Come on now. You guys are all something. The knowledge with all of us together, it's pretty impressive. I haven't taken a class in forever. I'm actually in a class in my state class academy, just taking some classes because I haven't been to one. So it's nice to, like you said, revisit to show, hey, I'm not too smart. I forget a lot of things. So I'll be at that thing in January with Isaac. I'm going to go to that. And then I'm trying to figure out if I can get to the lake there with you guys in July. I have to see what I can do there, pull some strings. But
we're gonna make that happen, Mikey.
I'm going in a non-teaching. I'm not teaching. I want to go and just chill. I have to just sit there and
put your wife on. Put your wife on. We'll get you to the lake in July. You're teaching.
She's
like, your wife gets on, we're going into the weeds.
Torres, message me later. Message me after a while. We'll talk.
You're teaching,
okay, right. But no, you guys are something, man. You guys, you're definitely friends, very close friends, and I'm very I'm always happy to be here. This is it's fun for me. I'm a nerd, we turned a hobby, and I turned a hobby into something I love, and something I just thought it was really cool. My mom told me a long time ago when I was a child, find something that you're really good at and you love it, and just and kill it all the time. And that's for some reason the fire service is something I'm really good at, and in my eyes at least, people probably think I'm a little weird, but that's fine. I'm really good at it, and I enjoy it, and I like to do what a told me is, this shit's free. Spread the word. All the stuff that you learn, just regurgitate and give it to somebody else. This is free information. I love when Hannah asks questions. I really, she's got it made. If you think about it, she's got it made. She's got all of us working our ass off for, she's got her own bank of people to go to all the time. It's amazing. I can't believe other people aren't grasping onto this, but I'm not the smartest. We're all not the smartest, but we can all come together and kind of figure things out, So, thanks for always having me here, guys. You guys are some of the best.
Heike, you're the best, brother, and we're honored. We're lucky to have you. Josh, love that you've been tuning in. Gary, Tim, we're 10 episodes into the relaunch, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Paul, dude's big juicy. Dude, Chad wasn't on tonight, but these last 10 weeks been awesome, and I'm looking forward to keeping it going, even after all this COVID stuff. It's cool to spend time with like-minded people, and not a night goes by where I don't learn a ton. So I want to thank all of you for all your effort, for tuning in, because if no one listened, no one tuned in, we wouldn't have this. So with all that being said, on behalf of Engine House Training, O'Byrne Revolutionary Conference at the Lake, sign up, reach out to either of those companies. We'd be happy to come do a class for you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next week. Got it.
Cool beans.